Welcome back to the Cowpark Bros podcast. Jason and I are fresh out the segment about Facebook exiting the podcast business. In the last segment of the show, we're going to be talking about the NBA MVP race. There's been a lot of NBA playoff news, and of course, in the midst of the playoff run for all these teams, there's been some discussion about the regular season MVP, and that is when Nikola Jokic basically going back to back.
For those who don't know, that's a reference to a former Drake song.
A former Drake song? How's it a former Drake song?
Well, I didn't realize it was a Drake song at all. Yeah. So I was much to my surprise. I'm like, when I listened to it earlier, I knew it was a song, which is why I was kind of referencing that for the show title for this one. But I had no clue it was a Drake song. So I was kind of surprised. I'm like, oh, I guess I gotta stop listening to this now, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't have too much Drake. Sorry.
Yeah, dude. So now that the announcement has come out about Nikola Jokic getting his second MVP, which is great, definitely a resume builder. Of course, there's going to be a lot of responses. Number one, Joel Embiid got screwed over again. You're shaking your head, Jason. I feel like you got some strong thoughts on that. I think first off, it was great. Both of these guys had a great season. I feel like if it would have went the other way, either this year or the previous year, might have been okay. Joel Embiid, great player. What are your thoughts when people say, "Hey, Embiid got kind of hosed on this deal"?
So first off, anybody says he got hosed or screwed or snubbed, whatever, I think they need to. I have not said this on the show in a very long time.
Wait for it.
But I gotta say this: anybody that says those things about him getting Embiid getting snubbed, screwed, whatever, needs to calm down, relax, take a sip of your beer, and it's gonna be okay because you're wrong. Now, I respect anybody making a point to say he should have won MVP, but to say he got screwed, that's a stretch. And now, since you're the one who said that, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. First of all, and I'd love to hear your if you have one, your arguments later about why he should win over Jokic. But let me say this: as you know, there's 5 major stat categories in the NBA basketball: points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks. Nikola Jokic led his team in all 5 of those categories. He was number 1. There was only one other player this year to do that for his team, and you'll never guess who that is.
Who?
But moving on from that, he played this season with two of the 3 best players on the team, or 2 of the best 4, or however you want to rank them. 2 of the best players, Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray, combined only played 9 games. And those 9 games were all played by Michael Porter Jr. Jamal Murray didn't play a single game. Okay?
Yeah.
So he played this season without that going into it. And yet, obviously, a lot of teams could have an excuse to say, well, we're going to have a bad year because of it, or blah, blah, blah. Other people might say, step up, time to step up. Well, guess what? He stepped up, led his team in all 5 of those categories. When it comes to his points per game, he had 27.1 points per game. The next closest person to him on his team for his points a game was Aaron Gordon with only 15.0. 12.1 difference there. Only one other player in the league had a bigger difference between himself as a top guy and his number 2 guy. And that was Trae Young. He had a 12.2 difference. So not very much there. So all those things alone, not to mention Denver Nuggets were 14 games above 500, by the way, made the playoffs. And obviously, Giannis and Embiid did as well. But all that stuff I just said, I feel like maybe he was. I don't know how the votes went out yet. But he should have been the runaway MVP. And I've said this before on the show. I'm going to let you jump in here. Most valuable player. Again, his number 2 and 3 guy only played 9 combined games this season. Still led his team in all those categories. Team still was 14 games above 500. They made the playoffs, obviously. He's playing like MVP. Jump in here, sir. Go ahead.
No, I think I'm not even someone who can say, okay, there's no reason why Jokic should have won. I'm saying, to your point, Jamal Murray, when healthy, was lighting the world on fire 2 postseasons ago, okay? he made the he made the Nuggets an exciting team. But in that time, Jokic's gotten a lot better, and with Murray being injured, it's not exactly like there's less of a reason to key in on that dude. He's just he's just he's met the challenge. Now, arguably the same thing could be said about Joel Embiid, who Jamal Murray played the same amount of games as Ben Simmons,
No, go ahead.
And the nine games that that the other player you mentioned, I mean, hell, that's almost the exact amount as James Harden picked up once they refactored the squad right before the playoffs. So I feel like that's a wash, man. Like they're both being keyed in on. They're just better than everybody else.
But but I say again, did Embiid lead his team in all 5 of those categories? He did not. And as a matter of fact, the only reason the second guy led his team in all those categories is because he's the only player that played more than 55 games for his team. As OJ Brissett from the Pacers. Yeah, exactly. Have you ever heard of him before? No. So,
anyways, no. I mean, I'm not trying to listen. I don't even have a dog in the fight. I'm just saying that they both had to deal with similar scenarios in order to win. I think that Jokic, because he's doing it in the Western Conference, he's going to get a certain level of pub. I mean, the fact that they made it into the second round definitely helps his case. I know it's a regular season MVP award, but still. My last piece I was going to say about it, I love the fact that, that the MVP standoff race is basically between 2 big men.
Okay, I feel like the phrase "big men" in today's NBA should be changed to "tall men," because they're tall, but they're not big men. They don't play like big men. They're tall.
When you say that they don't play like big men, how should a big man play in the NBA according to one Jason Ross of the Caliber?
Okay, see, there you go. There you go with that condescending tone right there. There you go. Stop that. But no, okay, put it this way. I've heard people say the age of the big man is coming back. I'm not saying you said that. Hopefully you haven't. People have said that, and I'm like, is it though? When we think of the age of the big man, this is my opinion, obviously. When people like Shaq and people like Shaq and that Yao Ming, that time frame when they started retiring and going away, and when Dirk Nowitzki started coming in, I think that was the beginning of the end of the big man era in the NBA. Guys who played and dominated the inside, the middle of the court. They weren't leaking out shooting threes, shooting mid-range jumpers or fadeaway jumpers, nothing like that. So yeah, Embiid, again, Jokic, great tall players in NBA, 6'11", 7 foot, wherever they want to be. But I think the age of calling people big men, I think it's a little bit of a joke in the stretch. Yeah, once Dwight Howard retires, that's pretty much the end of the big man era in the NBA right there.
Okay, so you're not going to say that Dwight Howard wasn't a big man.
No, I'm saying he is, but obviously he's not what he was now. So, I mean, you can really call the era over now, but he's like the last representative of that era. And he came in at like the tail end of everything anyway. So, yeah, it's pretty much once he's done and gone, that's it.
Yeah, I would say that the big man era, there is a little bit of a renaissance. And ironically, closest thing to a big man is Giannis. Because he's still doing a bit of his damage. Like for a wing player, yeah, the guy's, he's starting off like 20 feet out. It's just that because he's built like, a Olympian like gazelle, that he's ending up destroying you 5 or 6 feet in. Yeah, that we could talk about, it's the return of the tall man. Like, no. Big man is here to stay because Giannis put on, 20 pounds of muscle in like the course of 4 years. And yeah, he's still destroying dudes in the low post. Like he knows
Now, this is,
he knows where his bread's buttered.
I mean, listen, this isn't knocking these players. They're phenomenal players, obviously. You know, they're just okay. The tall men in the NBA now are just more athletic. They can do more, right? So, like, a Shaq didn't have the skill to shoot threes or take any jumper really, or even shoot free throws. Not that Embiid's actually a good free throw shooter, but not that Giannis is. You know, Jokic is actually a pretty good one, which is another point of his resume there. But that's what I meant by the big man era is gone, and I always hesitate to call anybody a big man these days because they're not that dudes on the inside. They're more jump shooters who might be able to go inside as opposed to the other way around. You know,
Dude, I've seen Jokic's footwork, and like it is everything about it screams big man. But the amount of just because now we have the era of big man that can shoot threes, I don't think that means that the big man era is done.
Oh, that's straight facts.
No. And I also maintain that if Shaq somehow were to be transported from LSU and instead of graduating in 98, or I'm sorry, 96, actually. Wait a sec. I'm wrong on the dates. It's actually closer to 92.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, the point is, Jason, that Shaquille would have adopted. He would have adapted. He'd be out here. He'd be out here doing the same shit that Jokic and Embiid and Giannis is doing now. And I know that because everyone's seen the All-Star tape for him versus Jordan. Okay?
That's a huge assumption on your part, buddy. A huge assumption.
You're going to sit here and tell me that somehow, arguably the most athletic center of all time wouldn't have somehow figured it out.
Okay, that's 100% not true. Yeah, he's not the most athletic center of all time. Stop it.
I said arguably one of the most athletic centers of all time.
I would argue it's not even that, but
okay. I think you just difficult, but
yeah. See that's okay. That's your equivalent of calling me a hater, basically. You know,
okay. Regarding Shaquille O'Neal, Mr. Ross, you are being a hater.
See, well, you know what? I'm glad you can finally go ahead and say it.
Your ass is being a hater right now.
Okay, so again, folks, this is another prime example live on the Cal Park Bros. And people throw out the term hater, and it's totally misused. Just because I have adverse criticism of somebody doesn't make me a hater. Just because I don't agree with you doesn't make me a hater. Okay, it's a big difference. People need to learn it, including you right now.
Yeah. I'm not the one throwing pop shots at one of the top 50 NBA players of all time.
Didn't deny none of that. I didn't deny any of that. He's obviously top 50, but to say he's one of the most athletic, okay.
Yeah.
That's debatable.
Jason's
but all right.
most athletic centers apparently include Stanley Roberts and Rick Smits.
Once again, Terrence assuming things without having any merited basis to it. So there you go.
Yeah, man. But it's been a fun NBA campaign, and it's been a fun, playoffs, and the discussion about, who was going to get this NBA MVP trophy has been fun because, it reflects, number one, personal accolade, but also a team accolade because your team, unlike a lot of these leagues where you can, be 30 games out of 30 games out of first place in baseball and get MVP. Shout out to A-Rod. Typically,
dude, that was 20 years ago,
dude. And typically in the NBA, your team has to do well in order for you to even get a sniff at this award. So it's been fun to a great NBA campaign. And the fact that we're even talking about two of these guys, they don't have a damn thing to do with the Chicago Bulls. It says a lot about, their standout years. So I'll close on that note.
Yeah, and Jokic is getting his money now, too. Did you see that?
Oh, I know he's getting paid. So.
No, yeah, he agreed to an extension. He's going to be the highest paid player in the NBA.
For now. Until someone else eclipses him. But yeah, good on him, man. Well done.
For sure. For sure. Doing it for Serbia, bro. When he signs that contract, the entire country of Serbia is going to celebrate that one, bro.
Yes, sir. All right. That wraps up our segment on the NBA MVP race. And with that, we'll close out the show.